Welcome, everyone. Good morning. So welcome to Cover to Cover. It's Tuesday, May 30th, and today is a special edition of Cover to Cover. We're so glad you're all here. Glad y'all are here. Yeah. It's a special day today because yesterday was a holiday in the United States. If you're not from the U.S., it was Memorial Day, so everyone was off, and so are we. So we are coming to you live today, but we'll be back Wednesday and Friday. Well, we do have a new host on our show, and so we want to take a minute to introduce her. We have Morgan, but we call her Mo for short. So everyone say hey. Hey, Mo.
Welcome, Mo.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Mo, I want to know one thing about you.
Okay.
How do you choose what to read?
Well, I have many methods of going about finding books to read. I'm a big fan of what's on the New York Times bestseller list. Mm-hmm. And then anything that my friends are reading, I literally have like a message in my phone where if they say anything, I'm like, quit talking, let me type that in really quickly. So I do that, and then just, generally when I'm at a bookstore, what's on the shelf, that's kind of how I find stuff.
Has a friend ever made a really bad recommendation?
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's tough call. Tough call.
Andrew, how do you choose what you're reading?
So my friends and family recommendations, I love whenever I go to someone's house and they have a library or bookshelves, freak out, and I have to look at every single book they've ever read, totally judge them by it, and then pick my favorite books and beg them for them. So yeah, love family and friend recommendations.
Sounds good. In my household, we are nerds, and every January we put together our goals for the year. And in that list of goals is a reading plan. And so my husband and I pick out what books we want to read. And we want to do at least one classic a month, and then a self-help a month, and then we give ourselves room for something else. So we don't always stick with it, but at least we try.
Like all New Year's goals, you like,
Yeah. This is what we want to read. This is how much money we want to save. This is how much weight we want to lose. So we do it that way.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well, I know we have some great news. So Andrea, tell us what's going on in the world of books.
All right. So first of all, best-selling author Neil Gaiman has agreed to read the Cheesecake Factory dessert menu if fans raise $500,000 for the UNHCR, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. Gaiman has challenged fans to raise $1 million for a dramatic reading of Fox and Socks by Dr. Seuss. This all began with a tweet from Sarah Benincasa. You can find the link to the GoFundMe page below. Also, Tree of Smoke author Dennis Johnson has died at 67. According to Publishers Weekly, he often hailed as a writer's writer, and on occasion, a writer's writer. A group of students from the Victor Central School District wrote and published a book of haikus sold on Amazon. This book has been referred to as a burn book, similar to the bullying book featured in the movie Mean Girls. The group of up to 24 students target classmates, teachers, and administration in a negative way. Haiku in the book also make references to Columbine and suicide. The book of haiku that was once found on Amazon is now under investigation. The school sent an email to parents saying students involved in this matter are remorseful and have written a letter of apology. They have learned a valuable lesson in the power of their words and the magnitude of their digital footprint. That's all the news we have this morning. We're going to take a short break, and when we return, we're going to discuss our digital footprint and the impact that it has on digital ethics.
All right, so we've touched on this idea of your digital footprint, right? And in today's society, it's more important than ever to be conscious of what you're doing with your digital footprint and how that affects others, especially when you can publish anything on any platform at any moment. Mm-hmm. So I thought it'd be interesting if we could talk about that idea. So what does that idea mean to you that you can just publish anything wherever you are at any moment. I mean, do you think that just because you can publish something that you should?
No, definitely not. I was a journalism major in college, and we took a media law and ethics class. And so we talked a lot about how things can be lawful and how we can put them out in the news and in the media, but is it ethical? Because you have to consider all stakeholders. But now, like you said, anyone can publish anything, whether that's on Facebook, on a blog, on a podcast, in any way, everyone can be a publisher, and that's kind of scary. What do you think, Morgan?
Guys, we've talked about this all last week, and artists are artists, whoever they are, writers, musicians, painters. Who am I, or who is anyone else, to limit their freedom and their rights to put out whatever they want to put out? I think they do have a responsibility and should learn at an early age of what's ethical, and they should make the choice of, well, should I put this out there? Is this right? Is this going to be harmful? Is this going to be damaging? But at the same time, I can choose if I buy it or not. I can choose if I like it or not.
Yeah.
So I don't want to limit artists.
And that's fair. And like I said, lawfully they can and they should be able to, but ethically, should they be able to?
Right. And I'm a big fan of don't censor young people. It's really the job of adults and mentors to guide young people to understand what is morally right and what is ethical. So I totally agree with you, Morgan, that we should let young people and all people explore their creativity in whatever medium, whatever they have to say, for sure. But we really need to take into account the ethics, especially when, I don't know if you guys ever read blog posts written in anger. It's so easy to just come out with a snap judgment, but it's really responsible of everyone to take a step back and think about the implications of that and who is that going to affect and who might it hurt.
Speaking of taking a step back, how did this get published? That's my question. How did these teenagers put this together and get it published without someone's help?
Yeah, I mean, on the internet you can do anything. There's so much information out there for how to get things done, self-publishing and the like, so I imagine they just took it upon themselves to figure it out.
Yeah, it was a group of almost 24 students. That's crazy.
I have another issue with publishing an author's work posthumous. You guys probably know Harper Lee. She wrote To Kill a Mockingbird, and in 2015, a new book was released, her only second book ever published, because after she wrote To Kill a Mockingbird, she did not want to fall off the top of the charts. You know, get out while you're ahead of the game when you wrote the best book ever. And they released Go Set a Watchman, obviously without her consent because she wasn't alive for it. So there's a lot of controversy surrounding posthumous publication, and of course there's a lot of implications that go along with that. So that's another variable in that story.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think that was right.
I don't think so either.
Especially if she did not want it published, it shouldn't have been published. Now, if it was like a buried treasure and someone found it, or her family members found it and they had no clue what she wanted to do with it, then maybe.
Yeah.
It would be a great way to remember this person and let their legacy go forward. But the fact that she didn't want it published, shouldn't have been published.
Yeah, there's a lot of gray area there too, because oftentimes they'll find lost letters and things written by writers posthumously, and it's kind of questionable whether they wanted their personal letters and things like that out to the public. But then again, as a fan, like, I really want to read those things. Like, I need to know what Tolkien was writing to C.S. Lewis. So it's a lot of gray area.
Yeah. We would love to know what all of you think. Put your comments below the feed and tell us what you think about this. And speaking of comments, we've touched on this just a little bit. We talked about the ethics of digital publishing and posting content digitally. What about what people post on Facebook? I mean, Mo, you touched on it. People writing crazy things in blogs. I know that there's some people I've hid their content from my feed because I don't want to read it. But should all of us just be more conscious of what we post, even just a paragraph, a sentence?
I think so for sure. And Andrea was just mentioning now that there's Facebook memories, there's all of these ways to relive the things that you wish you never said 10 years ago.
Absolutely.
And so now we're kind of being faced more with that because we're not scrolling back through our news feed, but now it's right there for us all the time.
Facebook does it
Yeah.
for us. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was it? Can you share that? Do you want to share it?
Oh my gosh, no, I don't even want to relive those posts. But yeah, I think it's great that kids can publish. Now there's a 9-year-old in the UK who's about to publish her first book.
Oh, wow.
9 years old. So, I mean, I think I've heard an author, Severin Morrow, say that there's a book in all of us. And so now that people can publish all of these things, shouldn't we be promoting that in healthy ways? Like, shouldn't we be starting in schools, talking to kids about writing books and encouraging them? I mean, not just encouraging them to read, but to write and inspiring them to create these stories.
All right. Yeah, I have a question, though. Would you publish your journal?
Oh.
Middle school, high school journal. Would you publish that? I mean, I bet it has some juicy stuff in it.
Yeah, when I go back and reread like young Mo journal situations, I'm always like, that little girl was so angsty and she had a lot of feelings. And it's good to put it down, but like, you guys don't need to read that. That's just for me.
Right. What do y'all think? Tell us in the comments, and let's jump to Tiffany and talk a little bit about what she's been reading this week. Tiffany?
Thanks, guys. Hi, everyone. It's Tiffany here, and today we're going to talk about Saltwater Buddha. And I know that we normally review current books on the bestsellers list, but this book actually came out back in 2009. And the reason I dug it back out from my library is because the movie just came out, and the follow-up book, All Our Waves Are Water, comes out this July. And you better believe that that book will be on my nightstand. So I wanted to give Saltwater Buddha a reread before diving into the author's second book later this summer. Okay, so Saltwater Buddha, it really appealed to me because the author's on a spiritual quest and he's seeking the answers on the waves of Hawaii. We're going to have to start calling my section Beach Read because I keep picking these books set in beautiful beaches. But anyways, the author is Jamal Yogis, and the book is about his own journey. I feel like he really represents every teenager out there who wants to run away and experience life on their own terms. So at age 16, he ran away from suburban life and set out to Hawaii with just a copy of Siddhartha and enough cash for a surfboard. Totally sounds like something I've done myself. But the book is a coming-of-age saga that takes him from communes to monasteries, from the warm Pacific waters to the icy New York waters, and eventually journalism school at Columbia. Yoga Journal said that it's a perfect read for those who love the ocean or for anyone who wants a deeper understanding of the spiritual practice that's surfing. The book is broken up into really easy to read chapters so you don't feel locked in for too long. I like that. I prefer short chapters. It's part travel diary, part surf lessons, and part spiritual coming of age. So this book really brought me back to lots of good times on the water. And like I said, it's an awesome beach read. Did I give you enough about this cult classic to make you want to read it? Be sure to wait for the end of the show because we're dropping the price of Saltwater Buddha to only 99 cents for a short time after the show. So that's it from me, guys. I hope you'll enjoy reading this week, and stay tuned for our next episode of Cover to Cover when I'll be reviewing another bestseller. I'm Tiffany Harlick, and this was What's on My Nightstand. Thanks, guys. Hi, everyone. It's Tiffany here.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. So you seem to like books about water. I'm recommending this one for you for next week. Breakwater just launched today. It is by Catherine Jones Payne. It is a mermaid story and part one of a 4-part series. So read this for me and tell me how you like it next week. Thanks, Tiffany.
All right, and we have some comments from Facebook. Debbie's written in, and she has said it is not okay for someone to have published Harper Lee's novel. Obviously, we agree with that, so preaching to the choir here, I guess. But thank you for commenting, Debbie, and we totally agree with you. She also says that Facebook is a great place to get even if you feel that you could be very hurtful, which is true. Facebook is a great place to vent, and that's fine for me in the moment. It's what happens later when I feel guilty about it.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Facebook, we want to share a message that one of our viewers shared with us. This came from Lucy, and she said this. She said, I just want to share with you because reading is so important to me. I've spent every day working with my grandson since he was born. My grandson is 6, almost 7, and is artistic. At the end of the school year, he was recognized by the State Office of Superintendent of Oklahoma for his reading. I'm so proud. And he was recognized for technology. So, Lucy, thank you so much for sharing that with us. We love hearing these stories. And in honor of you, Lucy, and all of you who are getting ready for summer, for traveling, we just want to share with you some tips on how to get your family reading.
All right.
Right? Did y'all like reading? Did you enjoy reading when you were younger?
Yeah, for sure.
I was that super annoying kid that was really good at memorizing things, so I would like memorize the first paragraph and run around and just like say it to my dad, and he'd be like, "Okay, that's great."
I loved books. I loved getting into spelling bees, and all that spelling bees were my jam. So reading books were a good way to just get all of those words in my mind. Series of unfortunate events, like every birthday, every Christmas, like top of my wish list. I was like annoying my parents, like aggravatingly and annoying them to get me these books. I loved them.
Yeah. I love a good series. It's always nice to have a follow-up to like something that you super love. It never ends.
It kills the book hangover.
It does. It really does.
Best cure.
Yeah, this is great because number one, the first tip is to get the right books. Be sure that your children or those you're babysitting, your grandson, your grandchildren, whoever it is, your husband, whoever, yourself, that you're reading the right books and you're finding the right books. We're all different. We like different styles. We like different stories. And so help your loved ones get into the right story so that they can't put it down. The second tip is to, if you have children, you're babysitting, whoever, let them choose their own books. Kids love being in charge, right? I know I did when I was a kid. So take them to the local library. Take them to the bookstore and just let them pile up all the books. We do this in my household. We'll go to the library and we will check out as many books as possible. And then when we get home, we read a few of them. We skim through some of them. And I will confess that we typically owe the library a lot of money with overdues, with fines. But hey, I mean, we get to check out some really great books.
And it's really good to have lots of options. I feel like that goes right along with that. Like, don't limit anybody that you're trying to get into reading, but also don't limit yourself. You don't have to have one book on your nightstand. I know I don't.
Amen, sister.
How many books do you read at a time?
Oh, me, like at any given time, like 4 or 5.
Really?
Because you never know, like at the end of the day, are you going to want to read like a fantasy novel or like a romance or just like some nonfiction? Like you need to learn something. You don't know.
How many books are you reading right now?
I can think of 4 off the top of my head, but I have like a big shelf of books that I like to be read that are just generally like, maybe I'll read a page of this.
Yeah.
It's sinful.
I have about 5 on my nightstand, but there's really 3 that I'm focusing on right now. One is a novel, but I'm having a hard time getting into it. I really couldn't do it this weekend. One is a book that my boss gave me, but I read a few pages and then it makes me want to work, so I can only read a little bit at a time. And then another one is kind of a self-help book, how to improve your performance. But beyond that, I can't read several novels at once.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I normally stick to one novel at once, but if it's a dark novel, oh man, I just have to put it down and like go to something happy, kind of like what you're saying.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some that I struggle with and I'm like, okay, I need to be able to sleep tonight, so I'm gonna go to this and then come back to you later.
Maybe don't read that workbook at that time.
Yeah.
True. So my third tip is to go beyond traditional books. You can use I always talk about reading on my phone because I read faster when I read on my phone. It's large, so I can do it. Kindles, ebooks, because when kids are listening to books, they're still hearing a story and they're engaging, but they're also growing their vocabulary, like you said. So it doesn't just have to be a hard book. And it also can be a comic book.
Yes.
A picture book, a magazine. Reading is reading. So before I give the next tip, what's your favorite form of books? Ebooks, audiobooks, traditional books?
Traditional for sure, paperback. Just like being able to tangibly have that and feel it and take it with me everywhere. I don't know, I struggle with ebooks and I can never find my phone. I will have a book on me more than I will have my phone on me. And especially, before bedtime, I'm not really into having, devices right in front of me.
That's true.
I also am a big fan of traditional paperback, hardbound books. I do like ebooks. I will get into that. It's really good for travel, of course, to have like some sort of form to bring along more books when you have like 4 or 5 that you're reading at a time. But I love to go to old bookstores, thrift stores, and just flip through hardback books and the smell that they have. And there's so much history with like a used book that I really relate to that, and that speaks to me. So I prefer old books over new books also.
Yeah, yeah. When I lived in Uganda, my husband would download books for me to my Kindle. So when I actually had internet, which was rare, but when I had internet, then I could download it to my phone and I could read books. And I tore through a lot of books. I was there for 4 months and I read nonstop because if I wasn't working, there wasn't much else to do. But that's when I got addicted to reading on my phone. I read Unbroken on my phone, and that's a long book.
Yeah.
Well, here is the 4th tip for you. Create a totally awesome reading area and reading experience. So some people have like a certain place they like to sit. For kids, you can have a certain like bean bag. Make it fun, decorate it. Where are some of your favorite places to read?
I have in my backyard one of those hanging hammock chairs, and it calls to me every Saturday morning. That's the first thing I do is I make a cup of coffee and I go out and I sit in there, and I try to like pick my dogs up and get them in, but they like are not into it. But yeah, that's my favorite place.
Love it.
I'm a total weirdo and I have to have like a corner or like be under a desk or in a tent or something when I'm reading. I don't know. It just feels like a little hiding place where I'm safe and I can get into my own world in my own way.
Oh, that's fun. And maybe like if it was solid, you could like paint little maps on it so you could like really get into the world.
Yes, that would be cool. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
I really enjoy reading in my hangout bag outside.
Yeah.
And I bring my dogs with me as well. I have one dog that is kind of like a lap dog. If I'm sitting down, Sadie is in my lap. The other one, which is actually smaller, just squirms around a lot. But my husband and I go out. We were at Whole Foods yesterday reading and sitting outside. It was a beautiful day. We had a nice beverage, and we just love being outside reading. And until I went shopping instead. But then I came back to my books. So here is the 5th rule, or 5th tip is be a little naughty. So what we mean by that is try some fun things. Like for kids, give them a headset, a light to put on their head so they can read in their bed at night. Make it fun. When you're reading to kids, use silly voices. Make it fun. Move around when you read. So literally this happened to me this weekend. I was reading something on my phone and I was walking around because that's what I do, walking my dogs, and it's more interactive for me. I don't like to sit still. So make it fun, and make it fun for yourselves when you read.
Go to Andrea's house, make like a little pillow for it. You guys can hang out and read some books.
Bring dogs. Bring dogs.
Bring dogs. You can do some wall sits while you read. Do some exercise.
That's a thought.
Yeah.
We'd be really fit.
We should do that after the show.
Okay. Well, Debbie, one of our viewers, says that you should always read outside. What do y'all think about that?
Yeah, I agree. Just like you, like being outside is my happy place, and especially when you're at like the magic hour, like in the morning or later in the day, it's just so lovely to sit outside and do some escapism, get away with a good novel.
Sounds good. And so our last tip for you today is don't ignore the elephant. And what we mean by this is that if, say, your child, your friend, yourself is having problems reading, help them out. It might take tutoring, it might take testing. But don't wait, and trust me on this. So one thing you don't know about me is I had hearing problems growing up, and it was really a 1st grade teacher who figured out that I simply just couldn't hear, and I got tested for allergies, and turned out I was allergic to everything outside, and got on medication, and that cleared it up. But I was behind for a very long time. And that really discouraged me from reading because I really, I missed a lot. I mean, it was the end of 1st grade when they discovered this. So someone might need some help. Give them the help they need. No one should be ashamed of this. So those are our tips to help get your family reading this summer. We would love to hear some of your ideas on getting everyone reading, and that's what we got. And so I think at this point in the show, we're giving away some t-shirts, right?
That's right. And what better gift to give to a book lover who has everything than a t-shirt about books? So we're going to be giving these away periodically, and today we have, again, just to show you, the women's V-neck. It says, readers are smarter, more fun, and more attractive. That's just truths. That's just what it is.
Because that's just me.
Yeah. And on the back it has our information, GoRead.com, where readers and authors come together. If you're not into a V-neck or you want to get this as a gift for someone else, we also have the crew neck for your dude friends or for yourself if you want a comfy shirt. So just share this post today, and please send us a message so that we have all of your information so that we can get you exactly what you want and to the right address.
Perfect. That is a great gift. It's so soft.
It is like crazy soft.
Yeah, so when you're getting in your like little tent, you need your reading shirt.
Your tent is actually made out of these.
Hangout bag, yeah. This is what you go
outside,
to.
yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Awesome.
So we have lots of those to give out this week. Many people shared the post last week, and we're putting those in the mail today. So if you did that, your shirts are coming. Trust me. And there's many of you that I've messaged and said, hey, please give me your address because I want to give this to you. So don't forget to message us.
Yes, for sure. And of course, we have our flash sale after this episode. So for 19 minutes after this episode, you can find Tiffany's book for 99 cents. So another great gift if you want to grab one of these for one of your friends. Grab a t-shirt, grab a book, and that's a 99-cent gift right there. Perfect. Boom.
Boom. All right, guys. Well, that's all we have for the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have some really exciting stuff coming up in the next few weeks, don't we?
Yes.
I can't wait. In the next few weeks, we're going to be talking about pickup lines for book lovers.
We're going to have lots of puns coming your way so that you can be like the coolest friend in your friend group.
Yes.
For sure.
So don't forget to share, comment, tell us what you're reading, and we will see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Central.
Stay tuned.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.